John Lennon loved double meanings and provocative lyrics.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the best examples, maybe the best, is Happiness is a Warm Gun.
That's probably the most misunderstood Beatles lyric of all time. Because the song isn't really about firearms, is it? It's about so many different things. Our addictions to them, or maybe the temporary comfort they bring us.
Precisely. For over 50 years, that lyric has basically functioned like a cultural fire alarm, just blaring, alarming and absolutely impossible to ignore.
So today, let's try to unpack that. Let's find the context that transforms this lyric from, a perceived endorsement of violence into what it really is. A brilliant piece of cultural satire.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so let's start with that cultural fire alarm. When it first went off, November 1968, the White Album is released. What was the immediate fallout?
The reaction wasn't just critical. It was visceral, instantaneous, and really, really moralistic.
Visceral. So just an immediate gut-level rejection.
Oh, completely. You have radio stations across America banning the song on the spot. Music critics weren't analyzing the composition. They were writing these stern, ethical columns.
And parents were actually worried.
Yes, genuinely concerned. And the consensus that formed was, well, it was damning. The feeling was that Lennon had finally crossed a line.
He'd gone from being the witty provocateur of, say, A Day in the Life to something else.
To a reckless troublemaker.
Yeah.
That's how they saw it. Someone who was promoting violence, maybe drug use. It was a complete misreading, but it was built entirely on taking that line at face value.
And to understand why everyone took it at face value, you have to remember the environment, the powder keg of 1968 in America.
That's exactly. The world was wound impossibly tight.
And it wasn't just abstract political tension or, the Vietnam War on the news every night.
No. It was fresh trauma. The wounds from the assassinations were still raw. This wasn't history yet.
Martin Luther King Jr. had been murdered in April.
And then Robert F. Kennedy in June. Both killed by firearms, very publicly. So you have a nation just reeling from this, dealing with the daily fear of gun violence.
And then the Beatles drop a track called Happiness is a Warm Gun just before Christmas.
The explosion was absolutely predictable. When you pair those two words, happiness and gun, in that climate, people immediately assume the worst.
They thought the lyric was designed to celebrate destruction, to thumb its nose at a nation that was in mourning.
The satire was just completely lost. People assumed he was being sincere. And the key to understanding Lennon is that taking him at face value is almost always a mistake.
Right. Especially when the subject is that provocative.
And that's the thing. The source material is the key that unlocks the entire song. And it's the crucial detail most people miss then, and many still miss now.
Which is?
Lennon didn't invent the phrase, happiness is a warm gun.
He didn't just sit down and brainstorm the most offensive thing he could write.
Not at all. He literally found it, which makes the whole situation even more absurd.
Where did he find it?
In a real advertisement, printed in an actual popular American gun magazine.
You're kidding. It was a real marketing slogan.
A completely sincere marketing slogan.
Okay.
And the thing that horrified and fascinated Lennon was the total lack of irony from the people who wrote it.
They weren't being clever or trying to be provocative.
No, they were being functional.
Yeah.
It was just straightforward advertising copy. It was designed to sell a deadly weapon by linking it directly to comfort, to satisfaction, to emotional well-being.
They were essentially telling the consumer, if you are unhappy, this object will fix it.
Exactly. And Lennon's reaction was this mix of, amusement and horror. And that tells you everything about his intent. He was fascinated by that contradiction, the sheer absurdity of using the language of happiness to market a lethal object.
So if you look at it that way, Lennon wasn't creating the controversy.
Yeah.
He was just holding up a mirror to American culture and saying, look at what you're producing.
That's it exactly. He recognized something deeply disturbing about mid-century marketing. This casual acceptance of selling deadly objects, using the vocabulary of safety.
Bypassing rational thought and going straight for an emotional connection.
They wanted you to feel security and power, not think about the consequences. And that slogan, happiness is a warm gun, it works so well for them because a warm gun implies action.
It's just been used. For sport, for protection.
It implies capability, power, control. They wanted the consumer to associate that feeling of empowered control with happiness.
So Lennon saw this as a kind of cultural insanity.
But also as profoundly revealing. He was shining a light on the absurdity of it all.
Okay, so that's a really powerful analysis of the cultural critique. But what about the other major interpretation? The one that's been around forever, the drug reading. How do those two things fit together?
Well, the thing is, they don't have to fight each other. You don't reconcile them, you embrace them both. That drug rating has persisted because on its own, it makes perfect sense.
The imagery is all there. That sense of warmth that an addiction can bring, the obsession.
Right. I mean, when I hold you in my arms,
Yeah.
that could easily be about preparing a fix.
And the bang bang shoot shoot part, it sounds like the rush of an injection.
Absolutely. And Lennon himself acknowledged the song was about obsession and need, which perfectly describes addiction. But the true genius here is that the drug reading is just one thread. It's one piece of a much more complex psychological tapestry.
Because the object is interchangeable.
Exactly. The true subject isn't the specific gun or the specific drug. It's the underlying psychological mechanism that makes something harmful feel necessary, even pleasurable.
For a short period of time.
For a very brief window. That phrase from the ad, "happiness is a warm gun," it becomes this perfect metaphor for all dangerous obsessions. It captures that fleeting, intense, deeply satisfying feeling that temporarily numbs some internal pain.
While setting you up for much greater harm down the road.
Right. So the gun, the original object, can be replaced with almost anything. Lennon knew that feeling well. Fame, for example. He found it toxic, but the addiction to attention, to power, it works the same way.
You see it in the song's bridge, too, right? The romantic obsession.
It's explicitly referenced. But it could be money or control or even political tribalism. They all fit the pattern. They're all things we grab for that give us that temporary warmth, but lead to a deeper dependency.
So the real theme is how easily we confuse intensity with happiness.
Yes. We substitute a temporary fix, a quick rush of control, for something genuine and lasting. That warmth is so dangerous precisely because it feels so good, and it leads directly into that addictive cycle.
And the music itself, the composition, it reinforces this idea. I mean, the song is anything but reassuring.
No, not at all. If you listen, the composition is deliberately unstable, it's erratic. It sounds like three different songs stitched together. It never settles into a unified sound like, say, Yesterday, or even a track on Sgt. Pepper.
You start with that slow, dreamy, almost bluesy lullaby.
And then you're violently shoved into this distorted, heavy hard rock section. The drums are booming, the guitar's driving, and then, without warning, it shifts again.
Into that doo-wop section, I need a fix because I'm going down.
With those smooth, close harmonies. The whole thing is designed to mirror the psychological instability of obsession. The tempo shifts, the time signatures change.
It's disorienting. And even the rhythm section is split. Paul McCartney is playing two completely different styles of the bass line in the same track.
He is. In the smooth section, the bass is melodic, it's flowing. But in the hard rock part, it becomes this hard, driving, rhythmic anchor. There's no safety net for the listener.
So the real irony, the joke that everyone missed, was the cultural insanity required to even accept happiness is a warm gun as normal advertising copy in the first place.
Exactly. Lennon wasn't saying guns make people happy. He was asking, why are we okay with this? What does it say about us that this works as marketing?
But that distinction is everything. And satire needs context to work.
And context is fragile. It evaporates over time, especially when it involves something as subtle as advertising manipulation.
Which is why the misunderstanding persists. Nuance is slow, outrage is fast. It's just easier to conclude Lennon was glorifying violence than it is to unpack all those layers.
And future generations hear the lyric without knowing about the gun ad. They just hear happiness and gun together, and they react, just like the original critics did.
But Lennon probably enjoyed that. He loved watching people squirm and debate his meaning.
He did. If his art provoked a strong reaction, even a misguided one, he saw it as a success. The goal was never clarity. It was engagement, argument, confrontation.
And the beautiful irony is that the provocation was aimed at the very people who misunderstood it. A culture that had normalized the gun happiness connection so much that his satire seemed more offensive than the original slogan.
That's it. They were blaming the mirror.
So here's why this matters so much today. That mechanism he pointed out, marketing dangerous, self-destructive things as sources of instant happiness, it's only gotten more sophisticated.
Oh, it's been perfected. The warm gun today could be any number of things that offer momentary relief while causing long-term harm.
Like the dopamine rush from a social media notification.
Perfect example. Or the intense satisfaction of political tribalism, the temporary comfort of consumer debt. They all fit the pattern perfectly. They give you that temporary warmth, that feeling of control, but they lead to increasing dependence and instability.
So the lyric isn't an answer, it's just a reflection. It holds up a mirror to our own cultural contradictions.
And when people don't like what they see in that reflection, it's often easier to just blame the artist who held the mirror up in the first place. That's the enduring, brilliant satire of the line.
A final thought, then, is to consider how often we confuse that intensity, that temporary comfort, with genuine satisfaction in our own lives.
Right. If something feels intensely good right now, what's the long-term cost?
Well, thanks for joining us today. Whenever you feel like knowing more about the Beatles, visit us at BeatlesRewind.com. Every day, we do something new there. Song reviews, album reviews, movie reviews, book reviews, documentaries, trivia, all things Beatles. Every day, 8 days a week. You can find us on the website, BeatlesRewind.com. You can subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Podcasts, practically anywhere on the inner tubes. The Beatles, all day, every day. We'll do it again tomorrow.
Right. Absolutely. Farewell for now.
Until next time, when you listen.
Your mind conducts its own symphony.